How's it going? Good, I'm glad. I feel pretty good. You look minty. I look minty. Yeah, I feel minty. So thanks, Zach. And I'm so happy to read with Donald and Bob. Thanks to you all for coming. We have competition today with Earth. And so thank you for choosing this dark back room. So I've been taking this medication, and one of the side effects is that it makes you fart. I'm sorry, potential side effects. If it smells like a fart in here, don't look at this poem. With that, like, I know you farted look.
Try and stop us.
Oh, so haughty for someone whose entorhinal cortex is experiencing such duress. So I hate taking medications, except for alcohol, nicotine, ibuprofen, cannabis, Vicodin, promethazine, Adderall, Percocet, OxyContin, morphine, psilocybin, caffeine, and then melatonin to sleep. So I'm always searching the side effects to try to find a reason to stop taking it. For this one, instead of saying gas or whatever, the symptom was listed as wind.
Like the West Wind.
Well, I mean, considered historically, the power to make wind is the prerogative of gods. Hardly a negative symptom. Big, anyway,
Those gods.
Okay. So one says like big gusts billow, making sailors happy, making poets so happy, they write long poems about you in excellent Latin, making whales really happy. So happy they spit puke on the beach. Their puke is called Ambergris, and because it's used in perfume, fetches a fortune for those who find it. Remember this poem next time you're on the beach, watching the water shiver. That's like watching wind, right? Ambergris looks like a prop in a Matthew Barney film about like outer space satyrs wrestling in goop. It smells horrible, but only for a while. And then it starts to smell like stale old whale puke. Okay, so this is a poem about being older than John Mayer. So, penned between undergrads on Muni, it came to me suddenly. I am older than John Mayer. I mean, I'm not. And yet I am. Tackle drooping like the ships of the Argives, bored for 9 years roasting weenies. You know how Spinoza said the body is a wonderland? So anyway, I'm sweating a lot. Here for years I lived like a minor slick spot extra in a cast of grease, biting the weenie until it tore right off in my teeth, berating my loved ones with this boring tale of my summer, and I had beer breath. Prodigies are better than any senator. 8 pairs of wailing headphones warring for prominence, better than any balanced clerk. Okay, back on the bus. The soundtrack is better than any senator. The election is not the object. Liberty is not the object. The only object is cum and prosody. I wasn't ashamed to be older than John Mayer. I mean, it made a sort of fiscal sense. Like sheep guts scared of approaching cauldrons. I don't know, maybe we're finally the same age. No one knows what a body can do except the police and John Mayer. The lamest incarnation of the superego ever. Hand in hand we shred to death, graying, wan, and winning. Alright, so this poem is called The Clouds. So the higher I get, the less governable. And right now, I am so high. I'm like a cheetah perched in a tree, only painfully pale, very, very slow. So high I forget the imperative. All my speeches purple, ruthfully permissive, armed against a contrafactual blasé rain, flirting and petting. Wetter than bong water, but just as foundational. A magic wet that ends by making tyrants fat. And the rain, holy shit, it's coming out of a rain cloud. Just as you might predict, in such an orderly canopy. A housemonization of the sky, zoned and built by fingers flitting about in cash. Fuck the housemons of this world, fuck their nephews. In the family if you still have one. Peel back the lips of the asshole, plunge in with full face. That was the last use of the imperative. So, for a while, I despaired of new poems since fascism reigns on earth. Born aloft, I looked for my former friends, but even the clouds were killing the cuckoos conspiring in their folds, like their nests plastered with occupied tinsel swag. Okay, so when I say occupy, I mean the immaterial occupation of the psychic faculties by feelings of solidarity, as much as I mean the particular commune, or the particular praxis, countervailing property's obsession with human imagination. Blowability of bulwark, cumulus coup, recondite never. If I take the trouble to learn the speech of robins, what good is it if I recapitulate the necrotic logic of a mortgage in human or robin? Big red D on my breast. Suck. I walk around like I got an S on my chest. S for clouds. So I started considering new personae for my poems, since everywhere I looked I saw a striped burnt tush, and not in a good way. I considered Clark Kent, then Dr. Faustus, that adorable altitude-sick academic hoarder of envy, bunch of cats and books and cabbage-turned kimchi, selling his soul to experience for 1 minute a world without kryptonite. Oh my God, I tried to sell my soul and the only taker was a state college. Heavy breaths, dead in my lap. I get higher than a Phrygian cap. So I levitate into the bathroom and take down this old print I have above the toilet of St. Joe, Missouri, where my grandma had a house on the bluff above the river. So St. Joe is famous for having the biggest big box hardware store in 3 counties and a museum of high modern psychiatric torture implements. The engraving is picturesque in a bad way, making St. Joe look like suburban Paris in the 19th century. Monet's lamest painting, freezing smoke from the mill in its stillness. It's so stupid. Dark superimposition of a few parallel lines as diva clouds who love the river but hate river commerce. Fuck Midwestern brick abyss ghost towns, but fuck everywhere. Oakland and Ilium, Antarctica, fuck penguins. The only place to be on Earth is in the clouds. At a party recently, I was telling Sally and Jason way TMI about the day I started jerking off. My dad bought a telescope, and we all had to go on the deck to look at Uranus. My heart under my bed, awesome, bright white, planet slave to a star, great. Sorry, Sally. Sorry, Jason. I want everything to be too open, and then I want it shut tight as a lid over canned haricot vert. Uranus was so far away, it was almost close. Like, not looking up so much as out. Later, high, I watched Clueless. A masterpiece portraying a vast hierarchy of political power based on a calculus of romantic intrigue and dehiscent image analysis. Like, whose head was most like a cloud? Like, who's Amber? I look in the mirror and I see a pitifully reiterated Cher, over-invested in her little share of fluidness. Whatever. And so then the poem talks about this anecdote that I read about Pasolini's mom and his alcoholic fascist father who would berate her whenever she would express something anti-fascist by saying, "Your head is in the clouds." And so I guess the clouds represented to him whatever was a rodless parcel for a sec. And that's where I want mine always. And I want glitter eyelids. And what do you think about that and everything? Tell me so I can begin to approximate thought. Noob chirps from wet brains, soggy psyche. Happy holidays. So then there's like a Thanksgiving episode. I wish Pier Paolo could try these celeriac ravioli. The pasta like a toothy cloud, fat and white and raining carbs. I gave thanks for hash rolled into a flammable ball, which lifted me beyond perspective so I could spit and see it settle on Renaissance paintings. Yeah, in the Renaissance. Like paintings of people reclining naked, except for a couple of slaves and like a painter. I gave thanks too to the Virgils of everyday bedrooms. Good tour, thanks. Did the rabbit hate the sage pesto its corpse was tossed with? Absolutely. Like architecture and the law, Pier Paolo's crumpled corpse, pigeon idiom for Obama, no thanks, and Mussolini. I stayed up there till Christmas making that classic talking to Jesus up on the cross joke, and it was still funny. A little too funny. Very self-satisfied and incredibly high. I recall the melody of the Bach double and close of pigskins. I can see your house from here. Some year, I was there, sort of, a bitching wraith, brooding when I should have rut, ambivalent as the diffuse rain that tinkles on the top of North California but hardly ever storms. Not even on Oracle Fest, where the sky should weep most bitterly. Lachrymose effluvia of bummed Uranus. When I beg to slip a finger in and clench, please don't say your pursed lips live only on the cloud of converged infrastructure. And this is the part where the poem totally betrays its drift. Clocked by the gods of strategic informational archiving and procedural service. Stuff putty in my palms and see that putty melt and sweat. Slap it harder. My butt, twin white puffs, turn red as the clouds around Mars. Tight wisps on Turkey Day. Between the clouds and an MBA, I choose to get wet. Okay, so I'm going to read one more. So this last poem, this last poem is called My Favorite Things. No, it's okay. What's up? No go? Please do. Yeah. So, my favorite things. Everything would be easier if I could simply oppose what I love to what I fear, but sometimes it's hard to tell which is which. So sometimes you end up cuddling hot lava, mad at your taste buds for their naivete. It would be so much easier with magic glasses. Like those ones that let Joseph Smith see the words that salamander wrote on invisible gold or whatever. You know, that are now like in a marshmallow roast in the boiler room of Casa Romney. Steamy lozenge against a toxic social. I like to take it rectally, but then I would. That won't surprise any of you little Swiss fuckers, with pitch as perfect as your blonde parts. Do, re, mi, fa, so my face always looks like somebody stinks. And it does. They do. My favorite things. When dogs drool all over the divan I intend to sleep on. When I realize my love is bird puke Then I'd try and docent the meanderings of psychic life in a field in upstate New York, picking little bird bones out of the scars where I had a puzzlectomy. I'm trying to think about my favorite things, but my avatar is depressed. I've got to play it with watery opiate, one of my favorite things. As if my vital haptic organs were one of those soccer players. Have you ever seen these guys when they fall on the ground and they writhe around in histrionic agony? Until the coach comes with magic spray, and we all see that another world is not only possible, but that we already live there. Candlesticks cleaning themselves and whatnot. While we spend our liberated time grasping the nuances of German tent system and saddle suckers. When the knee breaks, when the cop knocks, when my book busts, when my dentist friend can't cop the parlor tanks of Novocaine, when the brig leaks, then I think of my favorite things. Poetry, oysters, idle talk, Dee Dee Ramone barking, astrology, the way your teeth feel fucked after a long floss. You can ask your tongue what it likes, but ironically the tongue just lies there. A big bacteria magnet, but incredibly useful. It's one of my favorite things. When my tongue talks to my teeth, it speaks in a luscious dialect, getting weird on the walk to a party. Sometimes I get so sick of my crazy friends walking together on the sidewalk, totally absorbed by their own literally epic narcissism. But to live with them in a communist world is one of my favorite things. Picking gum out of each other's gums. Brushing bird puke from each other's hair like wet dandruff. The poem won't overthrow the government, but the poem is one of my favorite things and can be considered when the friend dies, when the neighbor is an asshole to you on the stairs, when you're feeling sad. When you're feeling sad, stop watching The Office. Touch my taint and I'll touch yours. But do stop watching The Office. Let's fuck in the Mormon tabernacle. Yeah, we're gonna get arrested. But then we can write prison poetry. One of our favorite things. I feel like I've sucked enough for 2 lives, mine and a frisky doppelganger's. Touching some nun's taint in wherever Austria butts up against a Nazi-free Switzerland. Playing acoustic guitar and shoving schnitzel into each other's open mouths. So my friends are actually considering the idea that dachshunds are better than pathetic liberals. Well, okay. The dog does anything for a taste of pressed veal penis, one of its favorite things. When the canines come, when the seals flood, one who merely proposed to hustle and ceaselessly hustle, when the chair sways, when the airplane dips, when I'm feeling bad. I mean, when you think of your favorite things in the middle of an event that is terrifying or disgusting, it is of course an act of total denial. Magic glasses balm against a boring life in upstate New York. You know, I feel Joseph Smith, who only wanted direct contact with the prosody of heroic critters. You think it's fun to be a Mormon? You think it's fun to be an oyster? Fuck no. Those freaky white people in the Mormon tabernacle choir, singing in eerily perfect harmony. Communism here on Earth. I mean, in Utah. in a sodaless utopia that I sing from the far periphery, rubbing softest ass, licking the backs of my molars, loving how nasty it is to be embodied, and how better it is to be nasty than dead. Thanks, you guys.